to episode number 1 of Fat Kids Certified Fantasy Hour. It is a trio of fatties here to talk about everything fantasy football related. Take 2 and action. Yeah, I screwed up and forgot to hit record. I forgot to hit record. We were about 6 minutes into this thing, and I look up and I go, "Why is there no red light that says record, idiot?"
It's preseason, guys. It's
preseason. Play button. We're definitely in preseason.
Get out, man.
You know what? I feel like I have to blame Zach Taylor for this. I was wearing a sleeve on my finger, and he still had me use my right hand, even though there was a sleeve on it. So, maybe Zach Taylor just loves sleeves. But I am your host. I am Mike Bernier. I am joined by the other members of Fat Kid Certified, sans J-Gro, who I don't even know if he technically is fat enough to be part of Fat Kid Certified anymore.
He's always
got a fat crime right there, too.
If you are listening to this on any of your major podcast catchers in the Huddle Up Incorporated feed, we appreciate you. Please like, subscribe, thumbs up, give us a 5-star rating if you so would be inclined to. You can also watch us on the YouTube page. If Jim gets this up, which I'm pretty sure he will. Shout out to producer Jim of the Huddle Up feed. Thank you to him for allowing us to take over the reins of the fantasy football operation on the Huddle Up Incorporated feed for the next 20 weeks as we get ready for the drafts that are coming up. We'll talk about things as we get going here. I am joined to my, I guess it's technically my left is Ryan.
Hard left.
Below me, super Seahawk fan, Craig.
below you.
Below me.
Buddy,
So
this is that kind of a podcast.
Yeah, well, sometimes shit happens. What can you do? All right, so
Podcast with your other friend.
yeah, that's true. So on this week's episode, what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically tell you how we think we have some knowledge here in the fantasy football game, including a bunch of championships that we've so elegantly held. I think I still have the trophy for the Dynasty League over here that I got to get back to Blake. We're also going to talk to this week's episode about the quarterback position, the top 20 rankings according to a couple of different outlets. We're going to talk about the rookies and who could be game changers in there, and then we'll also talk about quarterbacks who are 100% avoidable in your redraft. I guess as the host of the show, I'll start this off. Been playing fantasy football now for probably, I'm 34. I've probably been playing since I was like 10. Got into a league with my dad with a bunch of his friends. That was actually where my league, the 2 quarterback league, came to fruition. We played in a league in Virginia with a bunch of his friends. That was a 2 quarterback league. And I always loved the 2 quarterback system. So I love that stuff. Right now I'm in my league, which is the 2 quarterback league. Ryan is starting a league, which we're going to get into whenever he takes the floor, which I think will be a lot of fun to talk about on this show. We'll also have the Dynasty League, which is ran by our good friend Blake, which we'll talk about because that's going to be a major thing coming up here. We'll also talk about some other leagues, just your common leagues, that people are in. But yeah, I've won 3 Dynasty trophies, I believe now is where we're at. Yeah, I know I'm number 1. But, it helps when you have people that trade you Michael Thomas after his rookie year for Antonio Brown. That might be an episode all in itself.
A lot of people still heard about that one,
buddy. Tell me on the bear where the bad man touched you, because it was Antonio Brown. So yeah, a couple of Dynasty trophies. I've shared wins with Ryan in a couple of different leagues. Silent partner in an auction league. We won Craig's brother's Billy's league once or twice. So yeah, we got some knowledge on this show. Craig is a 37-time title belt winner, I think, himself.
It's a remedial league, don't forget.
Yeah. We'll talk about that too.
We'll touch on that.
But I'm gonna give the floor to Ryan. I'll let him spit some knowledge and maybe even spit some knowledge on a league that we're actually contemplating starting in the year of 2023. Ryan, the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you, Mike. Pleasure to be on. And Craig, thank you as well. Let's just dive right into my fantasy knowledge. Probably like you, I'm 48, 49 years old now. Probably been playing fantasy since college. Back when you can even start drafting defensive players and stuff, when scoring was completely different, when I was on my Commodore 64 doing work. But obviously we've been in a lot of leagues together for a long time. I think most of us have been in Craig's league that he's done, affiliated with. You guys do baseball as well. So we've been together doing leagues probably for about, I'd say, a good 10 years now, off and on throughout everybody's leagues.
More, Manny's league is going, 12, 13 years now?
12, 13 years, yeah. So, I had some success in there. One of my favorite ones I used to do was an auction league. I know Craig has feelings about the auction, and we'll touch on that, I'm sure. But
Auctioneer.
Yeah, auctioneer, yes. But always done really well in that, always in the money, but haven't had the title. But I think I finished second 6 years in a row now until we dismantled the league.
You're a bridesmaid for life, buddy.
That's what I'm saying. It was a struggle. I did win it once, but
right. It's all those fantasy divorces you've had.
We could talk about that too. I just want people to come along for the ride, experience what winning is like sometimes, I feel bad. That's what happened with Teddy and a lot of the other guys. It's like a make-a-wish for me, I'm out there changing people's lives.
You're the John Cena of fantasy football.
I get to show what second place is like. But and then this year we were, I tried to work this out last year, make a vampire league. And the premise of a vampire league is you can either do 10 or 12 teams. Basically what the vampire is he cannot draft the team, regular standard draft, snake draft, and basically can only compile a team of free agents after the draft is complete. Now, the 11 teams that remain, or 9 teams if we're going 10 teams, can only draft that team with no pickups, no waiver pickups, no trades. It's almost like doing a best ball. It's almost like doing your underdog and stuff like that, where you really got to pay attention to bye weeks, quarterbacks, can you stack a team, And then also the vampire, which this is the great part about this league, which I think intrigued all of us, basically can nominate a player from any team that he's playing each week. And if he does beat your team, he can keep that player. So not only can he compile whatever free agents throughout the year, because he cannot draft the team, but can also take, i.e., Derrick Henry, Stephon Diggs, whoever he nominates the week before your matchup, he could take that player off your team. So early start of the season, I don't think the vampire is going to have the advantage. But come week 4, 5, 6, if he gets a couple W's and he's hitting that waiver wire hard and just compiling the right lineup at the right time, he can really make some noise. So a couple of things we were touching on is how do we score it, trades, division, stuff like that. So we're still working on it. We're still tweaking it. And I think, we've been pretty good about putting the information out there so everybody has a say too, because this is all brand new to all of us. I don't know anybody who's ever done a league like this. I've read about it. I've seen it. I don't think ESPN or your Yahoos or any of these even have it formatted. So it's like you almost have to make this league your own. And, everybody has a say too, which I like. So looking forward to that one. Looking forward to a lot of our drafts that we got coming up, some of our keeper leagues and standard leagues. So I'll let you guys touch on it. I'll let Craig get in there too.
Craig.
Hi, my name is Craig. And first of all,
hi, Craig.
Feels like a fucking intervention, first and foremost.
Craig.
I guess I'll start off by saying that I'd say no later than week 4 of this show is probably going to have a disclaimer on it because of the shit that's going to come out of my mouth. Just excited to be here. I'm really going to have fun with this. I'm talking with 2 guys who know their shit. I'm a fantasy football degenerate. I'm in 6 leagues, 3 or 4 suicides, 2 or 3 weekly DraftKings. I turned down I turned down a league last week because I'm not doing 7 fantasy leagues. That's just insane. But like these guys, I've been doing it a long time. I remember the first time I did fantasy, our buddy did the scoring, and we got our scores on Tuesdays. There was nothing online. So yeah, I'm that old.
Me too.
Been in one league with Ryan, like you said, a remedial league where I've won back-to-back. Pretty much like drafting with retards at times. I went. Listen, when you get no, it wasn't Dalvin. Was it Dalvin Cook or Nick Chubb? I got in the third round.
Nick Chubb. I don't know how you forget it.
Eckler was my first running back. So Eckler, Chubb, and Cook to start my draft. That's what I draft with. Yeah. The Dynasty League, I'm coming for that championship.
I think we both rebounded in that league pretty strong.
Really excited to be in the Vampire League. I hope I'm the Vampire too.
Me too, bro. I want it.
Whole waiver wire, and yeah, let's have some fun, talk some shit. And I don't know, man. Like taking notes. I'm like doing stuff.
We will definitely be shit talking on this show. So if you're not someone who appreciates the art of shit talking, feel free to stop listening after the rankings of the positions are over. Because once draft season comes, there will probably be some rosterbation on this show. Bunch of shit talking.
You guys want to do like a circle jerk? We'll get everybody involved. We'll put everybody's rosters out. And
you know what? I might be able to do a graphic where I can actually put up everybody's rosters the week after the draft and literally grade them. We can grade them on the show live.
Bro, in what league you want to do it? We're like 5 together.
I feel like the Dynasty League would be a good one to grade because we can just laugh at Teddy for 45 minutes.
Are you both in the Guillotine League?
No,
I'm not.
Out on Guillotine.
That's a good one Blake has.
Yeah, that one isn't it like 4 divisions or something? Like how many? Oh, it's one.
18 teams.
18 teams. That's what it is.
Once you're eliminated, your entire team goes into the free agency. Everybody's got a fat budget, and you just bid on players.
That's crazy.
Yes, that's another one that if you're looking for something fun and different, that's one to get into. Yeah. Funny, not fantasy football related, but sports betting related. The league that Matt was talking to us about the other day.
Yeah.
The pick 5 against the spread.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to talk to Craig about this, so we'll break this one over the air. He basically told us that there's a pool, kind of like a suicide pool. You have to pick 5 games against the spread every week. If you go a perfect 5-0, you get, depending on how many other people go 5-0, you get a chunk of the pool for that. And then like the teams with the best record at the end of it will then split the rest of the pool. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I'm expecting, guys going to tell me it's like $500,
Yeah.
A little more. What do you say it was?
With the comma, 5,000, I believe.
Yeah. These guys don't fuck around.
Yeah. No. And I think he said he broke it down into like 3 scoring weeks, like you said, plus the bonus, and there's all kinds of stuff on it too.
Yeah, he's like, if you win a couple weeks, where you go 5-0 against the spread, you have a spot where you can get your money back, and then you're putting yourself into a good position to hopefully be a top 20 team at the end of it. And he's like, first place last year took home like $580. I was like,
what was that?
$580?
Nope.
No. There was a couple zeros at the end of that one. So that
comma there too.
Yeah. So that one when I was like,
I think he said it was like 500 or 600 people in it or something.
Yeah.
Some stupid
he said
number.
There was a ton.
Yeah.
I would love to start one of those for the degenerates, but not maybe at like $200.
I was just gonna say 200 is a good number.
I'm not trying to kill people here.
No.
But that's a conversation for off air that we can divulge into. So over the course of this show, this week we're obviously going to preseason rank the quarterbacks. We'll talk about the rookies and quarterbacks that we think are avoidable in redraft leagues. We'll also, in the next coming weeks, we'll talk about the running back position, the wide receivers, tight ends, and the kicker and defensive spots. Once the season begins, though, and this is what I want you guys at home to really dive into here with us. The Tuesday episodes, so these are going to be recorded on Tuesday nights. They're going to go up Wednesday morning. We're going to talk who you have to add, who you have to drop. We're going to talk about who has to be in your daily fantasy rosters for the next coming up week's matchups, things like that. So those are all things that we're going to be here for you throughout the duration of the 2023 season. This isn't just a preseason ranking show. We're going to be up and we're going to be live every Tuesday night. We'll record every Wednesday. This show will go up live for you guys to watch or listen, and hopefully we can put you in a position to help win your fantasy football leagues. Exception of maybe the two fat guys that are going to be sharing the booth with me, unless we can chop this thing up 3 ways, which I don't think is possible, but we'll figure out the rest of it. All right, let's get to what you guys are actually here for. It is the quarterback position. I have a couple of different rankings here. I have the top 20 from Yahoo. I have the top 20 from Pro Football Fantasy, or one at PFF. Some big discrepancies in these. And I want to read off we're going to go from 20 to 10. And I want to do the PFF rankings first, because I feel like these ones are the ones where there's a little bit more of a, what the hell? At number 20 in the PFF rankings for the preseason at the quarterback position is Bryce Young of the Carolina Panthers. 19 is Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. 18 is Derek Carr of the New Orleans Saints. 17, Aaron Charlie Rodgers of the New York Football Jets. It is Deshaun Watson at the 16th spot for the Cleveland Browns. At 15 is a guy hoping for a bounce-back season, and that is Russell Wilson. At 14 is Tua Tagovailoa. 13 is Kirk Cousins. For those of you that don't listen to Huddle Up, that's what we call Kirk Cousins, Kirk Coupins, because he can only play in 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock games. He can't play in any primetime games. So, we're trying to get him.
Never on Monday.
We're trying to get him at a less value. So we got to give him a coupon. Dak Prescott is the 12. Number 11 is Geno Smith. So that is that is 11. That is 11 through 20. And what I'm sitting here looking at this ranking, my questions here: Jared Goff, Derek Carr, and Aaron Rodgers. It is the 17, the 18, and the 19. Derek Carr, new face, new place, but in a wide open division that isn't going to be very good. I feel like he's the best fantasy quarterback in that division right now. His alternatives are at the aforementioned Bryce Young, Baker Mayfield / Kyle Trask, sorry, because he is trash. And who the hell else is in that division? Who's the third? Oh, Desmond Ridder. Desmond Garbage Pail. I'm good on Derek Carr. I feel like he needs to be higher up this list. I don't see the bounce back that a lot of people are seeing from Russell Wilson. And I don't necessarily know that I love Deshaun Watson this year. Anything from either of you about the 3 guys that I feel like should be higher, or the 2 guys that I feel like should be lower?
I like Baker. You got him.
Stop.
Hold on. Only based upon the weapons he's got.
Is it? Wait, are we going back to the keeper league fucking 6 years ago when you drafted him?
Sorry.
Okay. Oh, but now you like him. Well, you could scoop him up this year too.
No, that's fine. I'm sorry,
PFF has Baker Mayfield as the 32nd ranked quarterback.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right.
I threw a little rankings thing here together myself. I put Goff at 15.
That's about right.
Goff's got a really good O-line. They just got a brand new running back in Jabari Greer.
And David Montgomery.
Yeah.
And David Montgomery. And he's got offensive. They were putting up a shit ton of points last year with them, with Goff.
Well, they had to. Their defense was terrible.
Yes. Well, it's Detroit,
That's what Jared Goff does.
Win the last game of the season and still not make the playoffs.
Exactly.
And Carr, I had a lot of faith in Carr last year. I kind of figured, you had Devontae Adams, and no. I just, yuck.
Yeah, but he quit on that team, dude. He even admitted he quit on that team.
Yeah.
I mean, between him quitting on the team and them going with the more, at that point, by the time they got punched in the face, it's like, oh, cool, we're not catching Kansas City. We're not catching the Chargers. We're playing for third place now at best. And the wild card in the AFC really wasn't all that open last year, and it's going to be even harder to get to this year.
Yeah. Speaking Speaking of quitting on your team as a quarterback,
there it is.
The other, the little bitch you mentioned, Sierra's husband.
Yeah, we got it.
I mean, if Sean Payton should be able to do something with that offense. Now, unfortunately, yesterday he lost 2 wide receivers. So they just took a major hit to their offense, and they just started training camp. If Javonte can stay healthy, he was coming back from an ACL injury, to help Sierra's husband, because he always benefited when he had a really good run game behind him.
And play action too.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the miracle plays that he had 10 years ago. He's got to become more of that just pocket passer. He's a little shorter, take a couple of more steps and just get rid of the ball instead of trying to do pirouettes and circles. And Doug Baldwin's gone. He's not there anymore. Those guys are gone. You're 23 years old doing circles. It doesn't work anymore. So if Sean Payton can get him to kind of be somewhat of a Drew Brees type guy while he has his hands on him. If not, he's got 1 year left. They can get rid of him after this year too.
There will be quarterbacks that will be available in the draft this year that are obtainable, especially if teams outside of the Arizona Cardinals end up with the number 1 overall pick. So I'm not necessarily saying that this job is 1,000% Russell Wilson's for the next 2 years, especially if he struggles mightily in the beginning half of 2023. Now, top 10. This is where things get interesting. At number 10, I'm going to say running back for the New York Football Giants. It is Daniel Jones. I feel like he's more of a running back than he is a quarterback. The biggest reach in PFF ranking history, number 9, Anthony Richardson of the Indianapolis Colts.
Jeez.
Number 8 is Justin Herbert. Number 7 is Trevor Lawrence. Number 6 is Justin Fields. Number 5 is my guy, Joe Burrow. Number 4, Lamar Demetrius Jackson. Number 3 is Patrick Lavon Mahomes II. Number 2 is Josh Allen. And the number 1 quarterback, according to PFF in the fantasy football rankings, is from good old Rhinos, Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts, don't it?
Sounds about right.
I guess let's talk. Let's address the elephant in the room before we get too far here.
Buddy, come on. Trying to lose weight,
Who are you talking to? What's
all
one
of
of
us? All of us.
Okay.
It's Anthony Richardson. I get it. Big arm, young, explosive. How the hell is he number 9?
I gotta go with also. How the fuck is Danny Dimes 10? Let's put 9 and 10 in that same conversation.
I'm right there with you, bud.
I mean, you just listed Aaron Rodgers after these two.
Aaron Rodgers
should be a top 10.
Wait a minute. Did they even put Deshaun Watson in their top 20?
16.
Yeah, he listed them.
Yep. He was number 16.
These two make absolute 0 sense to me. Both 9 and 10. Anthony Richards, absolutely at 9, is atrocious. Buddy hasn't seen a snap. Listen, I'm a Gator fan too. I've watched him. Big games, he never shows up. Now you got JT, who might not even be playing because of a back injury. And,
he's bacchiotomy.
You think Pittman's going to be running hard for this guy? I mean, he's got an arm. He can throw it a fucking mile. But that don't mean shit.
You got no experience. You got 1 year.
And no way he should be not even in the top 20, my guy. 9?
Well,
what are we doing?
Yahoo has Anthony Richardson at 16.
Even that I think is high.
Yahoo's rankings I feel like are a little bit better here. Their number 20 is a guy who was not mentioned in PFF's rankings at all, and that's Matt Stafford. Obviously the elbow, the back, Matt Stafford is a question mark in that regard. But when that guy's healthy, he's a guy who's going to be dangerous, especially with Cooper Kupp coming back from the ACL injury. The Rams offense takes a hit with Sony Michel retiring. But they find a way to get the most out of guys like Ben Skoranek and, insert random third string wide receiver here. So that one was a question. PFF has him at 23. Yahoo, let's see. Derek Carr is at the 19. Russell Wilson's at the 18. Goff at 17. Richardson at 16. Kirk Cousins is at 15. Aaron Charlie Rodgers is at 14. Geno Smith is at 13. Daniel Jones 12. Tua 11. Deshaun Watson cracks the top 10. Dak Prescott 9. Justin Herbert at 8. Lawrence at 7. Actually, their top 8 runs out the same as PFF's. It's Herbert, Lawrence, Fields, Burrow, Lamar. The only difference actually is Mahomes is at the 2. Josh Allen is at the 3. Jalen Hurts is the number 1 fantasy quarterback going into 2023. My question here, and it's going to solely based on the guy who's at number 2/number 3. It's Josh Allen. I get it. Stephon Diggs said he's going to play, but Stephon Diggs is not happy. They don't have a ton after Stephon that I actually trust. I don't love me Gabe Davis as much as other people do. Isaiah McKenzie's no longer there. So is Josh
Rookie
Allen
tight end.
really? What was that?
Rookie tight end, because they got rid of Knox, didn't they?
Yep. They have a rookie tight end. Who's playing running back for them?
That's a good question. I think probably
Zach
Cook.
Moss.
I think Zach Moss got hurt.
Yeah, he broke his wrist.
Yeah.
Isn't he in Indianapolis too? I don't even think he's in Buffalo.
No.
anymore.
Yeah.
Zach Moss is in Indy.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook.
Or James Cook.
James
Cook is in Buffalo.
Yeah,
That's what we're talking about.
Thanks for joining the podcast, my guy.
I was thinking of. I'm sorry. I'm trying to fucking put my damn fucking. Charger.
James Cook, Damian Harris, Latavius Murray.
That's right. They signed Damian Harris.
So literally, and then their receivers are Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and Khalil Shakir. Their tight end is still Dawson Knox. He's still there, and then the rookie Dalton Kincaid from TCU.
Kincaid, yeah. All right.
Is this going to be more of a compact offense where it's more Knox and Kincaid running 2 tight ends with, running backs flying out of the backfield, and we get more bunch formation out of Buffalo? And maybe Josh Allen has to rely more on the legs in 2023 from a fantasy perspective, because the passing numbers have been good. I don't know that they're the number 2 quarterback in fantasy football good, though.
Yeah, I think a lot of the guys they have in their top, 5, 6 there, besides a Mahomes, who can run too, is more based upon being a mobile quarterback and dual threat quarterback.
Yes, because
Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen pretty much leading the way in that. And Justin Fields as well. That's why he's that high up there. I think the upside
Fields
with
is
them running.
Fields is 6, Lamar is 4.
I mean, all your dual threat quarterbacks, just because of PPR scoring and fantasy scoring, and they deserve to be in there. I think Hurts had 700 yards rushing, double-digit touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the same for Lamar if he stays healthy. Probably for the same with Fields. I mean, Fields had 1,000 yards rushing. That equates to a lot of points. I mean, regardless of what you're throwing.
Fields is a guy that I actually wanted to touch on because I feel like he's a underrated fantasy football quarterback this year.
Not anymore. Not anymore, dude. Dynasty, you should have got him last year. You would have got him late last year.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying in a redraft league, he's a quarterback that I kind of want to be one of the first ones that I go and get.
He might be maybe the 5th quarterback off the board.
Who are you drafting with?
Me, normally retards.
Okay, so that means so that means that Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, and Kenny Pickett will probably go off the board before he does. Let's be real here. Justin Fields is a guy that if
not in a dynasty.
No, absolutely not. In a dynasty league, that guy, if he was drafted last year, is 100% being kept at whatever round he was drafted in.
And if not, he's getting drafted early.
And he's going to have upstanding value now that DJ Moore is there. And his
Not
ability to now
can get Jalen Hurts in the 14th round, guys. I'm just saying.
Buddy, not everybody can get Joe Burrow as late as I did either.
I drafted him the year before you.
Yeah, then he tore his ACL, and you're like, what do I
do? He gone.
Yeah, you let me draft him the next year and put him on my IR.
All right, so I got Jalen Hurts.
Hurts, don't it?
All right. We'll be
Hurts, don't it?
We'll be all right.
Yeah. So when you look at Justin Fields, obviously that division is now wide open. Their defense still isn't great, so they're going to have to win games putting up points. Now he's got some weapons. I'm excited to see what Justin Field does in that regards. Is there anybody else in the top 20 that you guys want to mention?
One guy that I've always been accused of being a hater of.
Lamar Demetrius Jackson.
He's got weapons now. Now we'll see how good he is. He finally has the weapons he's always needed. Granted, he's got Odell Beckham, who's way past his prime, but, see if he's got the balls to go over the middle and catch a pass. See what Flowers can do for him. Can he have a consistent run game behind him? He had no consistency in the run game last year.
And Rashard Bateman's a beast when he's healthy, too.
Sure, he's got Mark Andrews. He's got the weapons. And
healthy J.K. Dobbins. This is his year.
That's just threw a no-hitter in Houston.
Yeah, I just got the notification.
Fuck Houston.
Congratulations to Framber Valdez.
Baseball related. Fuck Houston. God, I gotta put this thing on something. I'm charging and losing power. How does that happen?
I don't know.
I'm sorry. He's gonna have to edit so much of this shit that I say.
No, that's the beauty of it. I don't think he's editing any of it.
Lamar, he finally has the weapons. So if he can prove, that you're a top 4 quarterback, you finally have.
I don't necessarily know that at this
point.
Paid
paid like one.
But at this point, I think Lamar's biggest concern isn't the weapons; it's the health. Back-to-back years, missing 4+ games coming off of lower body injuries. When the most explosive part of your game is the lower body. Yep. That's something that a lot of people, and this is something that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. He's not somebody that I love in a redraft this year because of back-to-back years coming off of lower body injuries, things along those lines that may take a toll on his body moving forward. And let's also not forget,
real quick, those weeks were all playoff weeks in fantasy too.
Correct. And
real life.
Yeah. and Taylor Huntley looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I like him. Not bad.
So it's one of those where if you're drafting a quarterback and you're looking at it going, man, I'm going to need Lamar in weeks 14, 15, and 16. Those are normally the weeks where he gets hurt. Maybe you go with somebody else different and hope that, if he gets hurt and you're looking for a quarterback because of a late bye week or something along those lines, if he's hurt, Huntley's a guy that you might be able to scoop up off the waiver wire that we might talk about on this show at some point this season.
Possibly.
Coming out of the top 20, going to just, and we talked about Anthony Richardson a little bit, it's the rookies. I think the rookies here, especially in a dynasty league like we are in, we've talked about the ability of getting guys like Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow. I had Lamar Jackson late also before I decided to stay with Burrow instead of Lamar because of the injuries. As many people will say, it's because I'm a Bengals fan. It had nothing to do with my Bengal fandom. It had to do with the fact that I couldn't see myself keeping a quarterback that was running it so much, knowing that injuries were inevitably going to catch up with him. That was the conversation that me and my teammate had whenever we decided to move on from Lamar, was the concern about the lower body. So rookie quarterbacks, not as flashy as rookie running backs and rookie wide receivers in your dynasty leagues, but looking at the big 3 that came out in this year's draft, Anthony Richardson, who we've talked about a little bit, Bryce Young, and CJ Stroud. Given the ability to draft any of the 3 of them in a later round to keep, which of the 3 do you want and why? Ryan, I'll start with you.
That's a great question. I think just based on performance, like eye test, Young, just because of what I've seen him do. Guy can spin it. National championship game, Bama, had weapons. They're not known for their quarterbacks, but just I think the kid's got a good head on his shoulders, and I think he could succeed in that offense. I really do. I think Anthony Richardson's upside is so much better. If you're telling me upside or who I take today, but I think Richardson's going to go way early. So I think, in a dynasty, in a keeper league like we're in, somebody's going to see value in the 10th, 11th round as opposed to waiting to the 15th, 16th, 17th to get in your other guy like a Bryce Young.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think the thing here when you look at Bryce Young, a lot of people are like, oh, man, DJ Moore's gone. Carolina's lost a lot of its receiver value. Let's not forget they went and then acquired the services of one Adam Thielen, a real security blanket for quarterbacks. He's a guy who's willing to run a lot of 8 and 10 yard digs and post routes and things like that. Thielen's a good piece to have for Carolina, especially for the development of Bryce Young
and Miles Sanders too from Phillies.
Oh, absolutely. There's another guy out of the backfield.
Going to take a lot of pressure off the kid too. Do I think this year you're going to get the? If we're just talking about 2, 3, 4 years, yeah, we're talking about this year who I think is going to succeed. I mean, Bryce Young this year better. Anthony Richardson more upside, more value.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think long term, Bryce is probably the play because I think I trust Carolina more than I do Indianapolis. I think Anthony Richardson has the better arm. I think Anthony Richardson has the better big play potential. But I don't know necessarily who's going to be running the football or catching the football in Indianapolis if Jim Irsay doesn't take his foot out of his mouth. Craig, same question. Richardson, Young, Stroud, long-term value. Who do you want and why?
I like Stroud because of the defensive-minded coach he's got. So
yeah,
to me, that just means that if I can figure this out. There we go. To me, I just think he's going to be able to rely on the run a little bit more. Make it a little bit easier for him, even though they did trade away Brandon Cooks. But, just getting with the draft pick, what the hell was his name? Will
Anderson.
So, it just shows that they have all these picks. They'll use those picks to their ability and just build around Stroud and bring him in the right weapons that are going to work for him instead of just throwing him in. And then, like you said, Bryce Young, he's got Thielen, which is great. But now going forward, who's Bryce Young have after Thielen in a year or two? At least to me with Stroud, if you're talking going forward, they're going to bring those weapons in for him. And with the defensive-minded coach, he's going to build a disgusting defense in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
So I like Stroud going forward. And sleeper to me is going to be Will Levis, though.
That was actually my next question. And here's the thing. I paired the two of these guys together. It's Will Levis and it's Hendon Hooker. Because I feel that Detroit and the man himself, Man Campbell, will find a way to gadget plays to get Hendon Hooker on the field at some point this season.
Oh, he's out for the.
He tore his ACL. He's out.
I know, but what I'm getting at is late in the year, unless they already put him on long-term IR, they put him on the physically unable to perform list.
I could have sworn they knew he was out for the season because he had ACL surgery late.
Yeah,
he definitely had it late. It was like January.
Yeah, so there's no chance he's going to even smell the field.
We say no.
I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, like a Taysom Hill type stuff.
I'm saying more of they put him out there and people run to him to guard him, thinking that it's going to be a double pass or backwards pass that then opens up throwing lanes for Jared Goff to Amon-Ra St. Brown and things like that. I think he's more used as a disguise early on in that regards because of the knee injury and things like that. I don't necessarily know they're going to put him out there to get killed, a la Ezekiel Elliott playing center in his final play as a member of the Dallas Cowboys. Sorry to bring that up, Big Jim. Hope you're listening to this episode.
Nobody cares. Cowboys.
Nobody cares.
So when I talk about Will Levis and I talk about Hendon Hooker, Levis obviously has what on paper would seem to be the easier route to a starting position. They don't love Ryan Tannehill, even though Ryan Tannehill has been performing fairly well in training camp. And I don't know that Malik Willis can throw the football. I don't know that he can actually throw the football in general.
He'll be traded.
To who?
He'll be cut or dropped. He's not getting traded.
I was going to
say, dropping him, man. Would they? Oh no, he didn't go where? Would they go? Fourth round?
Like third round pick, I think.
Yeah,
hey, buddy. Thanks.
Yeah.
Go hold somebody's clipboard.
Yeah, exactly.
He ends up backing up like Bryce Young in Carolina or something. Like
he ends up backing up cars in the fucking valet. That's where.
Dude. You know where he goes? You know where he goes? He goes to $7 production, and The Rock makes him the next fucking number 1 overall pick in the fucking XFL.
Let's do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Because at this point, looking at the teams that quote need quarterbacks, there ain't many that he would be an upgrade over.
No.
Las Vegas, maybe instead of Jimmy Garoppolo or whoever the fuck they're going to get to start
in week 3 after Jimmy G goes down again.
I mean, who's saying he's going to make start week 1?
He'll make it. It's preseason. He won't play much. Look, the only thing I wanted to say about Hooker, I really wish Seattle would have drafted him to, just ride the pine for a couple of years, and then when Geno's done in 2 years, see you later. The only thing on Hooker, if Goff wins the division and they win a playoff game or 2, he's getting rewarded. Then when do you see Hendon Hooker?
Probably
that's one of those,
like as a decoy next year instead of this year.
That's when you start opening up the playbook.
Yeah.
Trade him to a quarterback needing team.
Unfortunately, the problem with that is a guy coming off of an ACL injury. When you have a certain gentleman who is the reigning defending Heisman Trophy winner, that's going to end up coming out number 1 overall. The only team that's really going to be trading for a quarterback would be someone that's getting Caleb Williams. And I don't necessarily know that Hendon Hooker fits the same void that a Caleb Williams will eventually fill, especially if the team that drafts number 1 overall is the Arizona Cardinals, because then that means that they're moving on. Which means they're moving on from Kyler Murray.
Well, think about this. What about a team like the Jets? Let's just say, for instance, Detroit wins the division, they win a playoff game. Jared Goff, here's a whole lot more money. Please stay here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, let's be real. A-Rod's only going to play 2 years. Ops. There's a team.
You still got Zach Wilson. What are you talking about? My bad. Sorry, Mike.
Unless Zach Wilson starts A-Rod's mom.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, Aaron. I started hooking up with your mom last night.
A-Rod's mom has got it going on.
God, that might be my fucking fantasy team name this year. Jesus.
Hooker, I hardly knew her. That's my fantasy team.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. All right, that's the rookies. All right, let's talk. Looking at the quarterback position, you are in a redraft. You don't get Hurts. You don't get Josh Allen. You don't get Patrick Mahomes. You don't get Joe Burrow. You're in that middle tier. Quarterbacks that are 1,000% avoidable in a redraft. Honestly, is there anyone that stands out that, gun to your head, your choices are the ghost of Zach Wilson past and this guy, you're taking the ghost of Zach Wilson past?
Danny Dimes.
You used to be so high on Danny Dimes, too.
Yeah, that was another bad draft pick I made.
Oh, you remember that one, too? Jesus.
Throw him on a dime.
Yeah, no. Top five is like the lowest I'm going to go on quarterbacks from here on out.
Good call.
Makes sense. Honestly, the head scratcher that I want to mention, the quarterback carousel in San Francisco. Brock Purdy, obviously on paper, is the better quarterback via win percentage. Sam Darnold is the better quarterback via arm strength. And Trey Lance is the best clipboard holder in the entire NFL.
2 first-round picks for that.
Which one of them starts? Is any of them fantasy relevant? And if so, who is it?
Can I take this just because I despise them, but
Sure.
I do pay attention to that team? It's going to be Purdy. He's already throwing. They feel fine. He's going to come. They say it's going to be slow during the early part of training camp, but it's definitely going to be Purdy. The only thing is lightning going to strike twice? There was no footage on this kid last year. Played out of his mind. He's got a great offense. Can he do it again? Trey Lance, they wasted 2 draft picks on. He got hurt last year, which sucks. But Trey Lance hasn't played meaningful football in over 3 years.
What was their record with Trey Lance before he got hurt?
He got hurt in like the first or second week of the season.
Didn't they peel off like 8, 9, 10 in a row with Purdy? Weren't they like 2 and 4 when they traded for McCaffrey? And then
no, because when Purdy got hurt, Trey Lance got hurt against Seattle. Jimmy G wins that game. I think that was week 2.
Right.
Trey Lance was 1-1 as a quarterback in 2022.
And then Jimmy G came in.
Then he got hurt, and then the Purdy show.
And then I think he peeled off I think it was 7, 8 in a row.
Yeah.
And that's when they traded McCaffrey, they were 2-4, or 3-4, something like that.
And everybody's so high on Sam Darnold, and it's like, what has he done?
Yeah.
I mean, they're a great team. They're good defensively, although.
So in the game, he got hurt in week 2. He lost the game to Chicago in the rainstorm of Soldier Field.
Yes.
In the game, week 2, he went 2 of 3 for 30 yards and had 3 rushes for 13 yards against you guys. Gets credited for the win because he was the starting quarterback, but was hurt in week 2.
So he didn't even have a win.
An actual win.
Right.
Yeah. So
still,
like I said, now you throw in, Sam Darnold, and it's like, no, they're definitely going to go with Purdy.
Yes.
The team is definitely going to want Purdy. Took him to the NFC Championship game. See how his arm holds up. It's Tommy John surgery. It's still a throwing motion. There's still torque on your elbow. I mean, granted, he's not throwing 104 mile an hour fastballs coming off of Tommy John, but there still might be a little bit. He might get a little tenderness and wear and tear, and like I said, can lightning strike twice? And can he get him almost to the promised land again? I say no. Seattle wins the division. But that's just me.
I'm looking at the picks that were traded in the trade that got San Francisco the pick for Trey Lance. The 12th overall pick that was eventually traded that ended up being Micah Parsons. The 29th overall pick that was traded that ended up being Cole Strange, and the 2022 third round pick that ended up being Channing Tindall, and a 2023 first round draft pick. So, by the way, we traded away multiple first round draft picks, and one of them became, I don't know, arguably the second best defensive end in football, not named Bosa.
Correct.
Cool.
What are you getting in return?
Yeah. I think the touch on Craig's stuff, too, was.
But here's the thing. You can't have 2 backup quarterbacks on your bench.
Exactly.
I'll get there. Ryan, what were you going to add?
Just touching up on Craig's thing, I think obviously you go with Purdy just because that defense is going to win. I think that's probably the best defense in football. I don't think I'm wrong for saying it. And they only got a little better.
I would say if they're not number 1, there's a short gap between 1 and 2.
Correct. So I think you want the best quarterback who makes the best decisions for you running that offense, which is Purdy. Doesn't matter how much his arm is healthy or not. I don't think they're going to ask too much of him, just like they did when he was starting. Just manage the field, manage the ball, throw up 21 points, and we'll get a W.
So basically, the San Francisco quarterback position in fantasy football, avoid.
100%.
We're saying avoid the Santa Clara 41ers.
100%.
As for mentioning you can't have 2 backup quarterbacks, I don't think that one of them will be there. I think one of them will eventually be the starting quarterback for the Washington Commanders because nobody wants to watch Sam Howell play quarterback. So Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, I don't care. I think one of them becomes the starting quarterback, the final starting quarterback for the Washington Commanders under Riverboat Ron. Quarterback. Trey Lance and Ron Rivera could bring back a little bit of the Cam Newton magic. That could be a little bit interesting to watch. Change of scenery isn't always the worst thing for a quarterback. Other quarterbacks, I think he's the 4th best quarterback in a division. I think he's avoidable. It's Kenny Pickett. And it's nothing against me being a Bengal fan again and hating on the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. That's just a very vanilla offense. They don't do anything explosive. They don't do anything drastic. They don't do anything that's different. I feel like it's a very vanilla offense, and I think that they're just not a great quarterback fantasy wise. I think Kenny Pickett is it's kind of like Brock Purdy. He's a good leader of them. Don't make mistakes. But when we're talking about fantasy football, which is what we're here for, I don't necessarily know that he's a great fantasy football quarterback.
Agreed. I think everything you touched on is perfect. I think the beginning of the season, he probably had that reckless abandonment about him, just trying to make plays. And we saw the first game he came in, I think he rushed for 2 touchdowns and threw for 2 picks. I mean, it was a train wreck. But as he got later in the season, it got more, conservative and better for him. And I think, he developed a relationship with his receivers. And I think it's probably going to be the same, but I wouldn't touch him as well. I don't see any value there. I don't see any value for I don't even think he's in the top 20 anyway, so does it really matter?
No, he came in on Yahoo in the 21 spot. Same with PFF. Again, he's a guy who he's gonna do the right thing, but in fantasy football, the right thing isn't always the thing that we're trying to hit home runs on. It's kind of the way that I felt about Kirk Cousins at points. Yes, he's going to throw for 2 touchdowns, and they're both going to go to Justin Jefferson. So unless you're stacking them, I don't necessarily know that I love Kirk Cousins in fantasy football.
I think Kirk Cousins is always going to be that waiver wire quarterback you're like, gamble on. Is this the week I hit with him, or is it a primetime game? I'm getting 9 points out of the guy.
Yeah. I need a quarterback to cover a bye week, and Kurt's playing a 1 o'clock game against the fucking Packers at home. Sign me up, boys.
I'm taking him over Pickett.
Yeah. he's the guy in like week 3 or week 4. You're like, wait, he wasn't drafted?
Exactly.
Holy shit! No.
And then you see ad drop. I just
want to say one thing about Pickett. If Najee Harris can get going, because he kind of had a down
that's
season,
valid.
Kind of like hurt Pickett. So if Najee can just step it up, get him 80 a game, and take the pressure off of him. Yeah.
I know you like his tight end too. I know you're a big, fantasy guy on his tight end too. Yeah.
Pat Freiermuth.
Yeah. Multiple times. And
exactly.
Well, you figure, tight end is the young quarterback's best friend, but.
I mean, I'll touch him. I think he's somebody worth watching.
Sure.
The last quarterback that I actually want to touch on before we move to anything else that you guys want to talk about, change of scenery. For the first time in NFL history, a guy who's won MVP less than 2 years ago is now the quarterback in a new, different color of green. It's Ron Charlie Rodgers going to the New York Football Jets. Is he poised to have a better fantasy year this year than he was last year? Because the short answer to me is yes. He's got better weapons around him. He's got healthier weapons. He's got younger weapons that don't have as many miles on the legs. Breece Hall coming off of the ACL injury. Eventually, if they can sign Dalvin Cook to join him as well. I think that's better than anything not named Aaron Jones or A.J. Dillon in Green Bay. I mean, we talked going into last year that expect Rodgers to throw the ball less because Green Bay wanted to run the ball more with the two of them. I think that makes perfect sense this year with Jordan Love at quarterback, but more on Jordan Love later. But Aaron gets Garrett Wilson, great young wide receiver. He gets his old chew toy and fucking Alan Lazard to come over.
He's bringing some old legs with him though.
Yeah,
and that's okay because those old legs. But
they're trustworthy. He knows them. It's going to help.
The old legs in the wide receiver room telling guys how to cut certain ways.
Yes.
I
think that's why guys like Lazard and Randall Cobb
like
come
three of him. That's like having 3 of him in the wide receiver room.
I think you guys are. I think Lazard's only been in the league 6-7 years. I don't think he's that old for a wide receiver. I mean, yeah, he's probably
compared to what Aaron Rodgers has in New York.
Correct.
That's all it is.
Yeah, and Mecole Hardman too.
But he's got a running back coming off of a knee injury.
Right. That's why they were kicking the tires on Dalvin, which is understandable. I mean, I wouldn't rush that kid back either.
Alan Lazard is 27 years old.
Yeah, 6 years in the league, 7 years.
Looks like he's 47.
Agreed, but I'm just saying that you guys are aging my guy, dude. He's still got 3-4 years left.
Yeah, at least 30.
At least 30.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I truly thought he was older than that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's why I had to remind you he's not.
I guess the real question here Nathaniel Hackett as the offensive coordinator.
Don't keep my coach's name out your mouth, okay?
My coach's name out your fucking mouth.
I love this. I love this already. This is gonna be so good all year. I can already fucking tell.
I have nobody to bitch slap, so
yeah. Garrett Wilson. Obviously they brought in Alan Lazard. Thought I saw something about Randall Cobb was floating around. Obviously, you mentioned Mecole Hardman. Corey Davis is still there. But I think the other thing here that I want to mention, especially from a fantasy perspective, is the Jets defense. The Jets defense, I think, is going to get a lot of turnovers this year. Sauce, the defensive line another year together. They're gonna force turnovers, which is going to give Aaron short fields. And he's a guy, when you give him a short field, he's fairly deadly a lot of times. So I think Aaron Rodgers has a great year this year. I'm not as low as on him as others are. Obviously we talked PFF and Yahoo both have him currently sitting in the 14 to 17 range. I think he has a better year than Russell Wilson. I think he has a better year than Tua Tagovailoa. Just because I believe that the short fields will turn into more fantasy points.
Quick question, and yet again, the reason for the MA17 rating. Are they going to implement a Billy Bob clock in Miami?
I'm back, boys. Puke and rally?
No, sir. Concussions.
Not the concussions. We're thinking.
Yeah. Fucking 10, Miss Davis.
10.
How many concussions you got this year, Tua? Fucking 10.
10.
Fucking 10.
Talking about that. Let's just talk about that division. Where do you put him as just quarterback ranking in that division right now?
Gang signs, dog.
Chalking him up.
Yeah. If we're going from a fantasy football perspective, I think he's number 2. I think he's the number 2.
Josh Allen.
I think Josh Allen's the only quarterback ahead of him.
Agreed.
Sure.
I think that's probably the best quarterback division for fantasy and overall.
I would say the AFC North's got a little bit of competition with that regard.
I know we had this conversation, but
just because I think Mac Jones is like the 31st ranked quarterback in National Football League, that kind of weighs down that division a little bit. When small hand Kenny Pickett is probably the worst fantasy football quarterback that you could have in your division. I feel like the North's a little bit right there with him.
But the top 3, I mean, yeah, we got Burrow, you got Lamar.
You got Burrow and Lamar to go up against Allen and Rodgers. I mean, I think it's comparable. I think it's comparable. I'm not saying that it's either one's a runaway.
We're splitting hairs, but Rodgers to that division and on that team. I mean, I have a piece of his new 17. Obviously, you guys know the keeper league. Mm-hmm. So I'm a big fan, and that's my number 3 receiver behind CD and Stephon. So I'm a big fan, and I think they're going to do big things. I think that connection is going to be sick. I really do. I think Rodgers took less money to keep, a lot of players around him happy. We're going to see a lot of it on Hard Knocks too, which would be kind of cool. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. And I think easy 10 wins. Easy 10 wins.
I think they're right there in that 10 win.
What division are they playing?
Hold on, I actually just had their schedule up. I'll read their schedule off real quick. Where'd it go? Oh, it's right here. So the Jets 2023 schedule is as follows.
Without the division, because usually the division games they always split.
Well, I'm just gonna go in order. Buffalo at Dallas. New England and Kansas City at home.
Whoa.
At Denver. Philly at home. At the Giants. Chargers at home. At the Raiders. At Buffalo. Miami, Atlanta, Houston, all at home. At Miami. The Washington Commanders. At Cleveland. At New England to wrap up the year. Their bye week is week 7 in between Philadelphia and the Giants.
That early part of the schedule is tough. That's a tough schedule. Those first 6, 7 are contenders.
To get to the bye week, if you are better than 3-3, I think you have to think you're above water.
Yeah, because the later part of that schedule sounded pretty soft.
Because the first 6 games, Buffalo, Dallas, New England, Kansas City, Denver, Philadelphia. You have to figure if you can beat Denver and you can beat New England. If you're 3-3, you have to think, okay, we stole one from either Buffalo at home, on the road at Dallas, on the road, at Philadelphia, or home against Philadelphia or Kansas City.
Right.
You have to feel like you snuck one of those games out.
One of those you got to win. That's it. I can see the 2, and then you, like you said, it's either 2-4 or 3-3 to start the season.
I mean, personally, if you're the New York Jets, the game you won is the one week 1. You want to go and you want to play Buffalo and you want to punch them right in the mouth
first
and be
week,
like,
let's go.
Yeah, you guys may have ran this thing for the last 5 or 6 years, but Aaron's here to fuck shit up. So
new shirt from town. Let's go.
I think that's something to look out for. Anything else on the quarterback position before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So that's the quarterback fantasy show for the preseason. Next week, we'll dive in to the position that everybody is going to come for. That is the running backs. We'll talk about the rookies. We'll talk about new faces, new places. We'll talk about some other stuff. Until then, though, guys, we appreciate you hanging out with us here on the FKC Fantasy Hour. For Ryan, for Craig, I'm Mike. We'll see you next week. Good night, guys.